Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranam. So we are reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, from verse 51. We'll say quick prayers and then start our reading. Please recite Mangalacharan prayers. Om
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरान्मिलितां येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रं जगन्नाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं स्वादुतं परिजनसहितं चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां श्रीविशाखान्वितां च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनी की नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे श्रीदेशा शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्यैश्वरम्। गुरुवे वैष्णवाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Okay, so does anyone have any questions from this chapter so far? We are at the last 5 verses now. Any thoughts, realizations, questions? So we saw that in last time. What did we see last time? Anyone remembers? What chapter are we reading?
Vishwarup Darshan, Virat Swarup.
Yeah, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, right? The universal form. And yes, Mataji, you're saying something, Chitamata?
I was just saying that Sri Krishna showed his Narayan Roop, 400 form, and then the 200 form.
Right. Yeah, so last time we saw that Arjun requested him to show his Chaturbhuj Roop, right? Everybody understood that? Was there any confusion? Kids or anyone? Any confusion? What is the difference between universal form and that Narayan form? You understand that, right? And you understood how Narayan is the Lord Narayan is the worshipable deity in all the Vaikuntha planets, right? We talked about that, and those Narayans are named differently in different Vaikuntha planets. So there are numerous Vaikuntha planets and numerous four-handed forms of Lord Narayan ruling those Vaikuntha planets, right? Is that understandable? Right? And then the universal form that Krishna showed earlier with thousands of arms and heads and crowns and weapons and jewelry, all that could be seen in all directions with great effulgence. All that universal form is a material form that is seen in this material world. It is representative of this material creation. So everything that exists here in any of the material planets is exhibited by that material form, right? Whereas the Narayan form is a spiritual, eternal, transcendental form, right? It's a four-handed form. Those rule the Vaikuntha planets. Okay. And then he showed his two-handed form, which Krishna said was, Arjuna said was Saumya Vapur, that beautiful body, he said, right? So then Arjun is continuing. Let's see what he's saying. Now, we'll go through the first, so we have 5 verses left. The last 2 verses of this chapter are very, very important. So, I don't think the kids had these, any verses from 11th chapter in the 50. Okay. So, if you have to remember, those two are the ones to remember because they talk about the pure, unalloyed devotional service of the Lord and how to do that devotional service. You'll hear all this that we've been doing, you'll hear from Krishna directly what needs to be done in those last 2 verses. So they are the ones to memorize. We'll recite them a few times today so that everybody can try to learn them if possible. But let's read these first three. 11.51 Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Vacha
दृष्टवेदं मानुषं रूपम्
दृष्टवेदं मानुषं रूपम्
तव सौम्यं जनार्दन
तव सौम्यं जनार्दन
इदानीमस्मि संवृत्ता
इदानीमस्मिन् संवृत्तः
सचेता प्रकृतिं गता
सचेतः प्रकृतिं गतः.
Okay, can someone read this one?
I can read it.
Yes.
When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So this is pretty self-explanatory, right? Arjun got very, very disturbed before looking at the fierce form, the Ugra Roop of Krishna, very angry looking form with all these irreligious people going into his mouth, flames coming from some of his mouths, and what big teeth. He kept saying Vakral Roop or Karal Roop, Damstram. Damstram means the teeth and the nails and whatnot he could see. So many things he was getting, his mind was getting disturbed and overwhelmed. But now he says, Oh Janardhan, now seeing this Manusham Rupam. Manusham meaning like ours, a two-handed form like ours, with one head, not 10 heads or thousands of heads, one head, 2 arms, this beautiful Saumya Roop, O Janardana, O merciful Lord, O chastiser of the enemies, I am again composed in my mind. I am again restored to my original nature, that I am again feeling normal, right? My cheta, my mind has again obtained its original composed nature. So that is what Arjun is just saying, that it's not, there's not much to discuss here, but in the purport, if you, I don't know if everybody was there for that discussion, but Nirbhay Prabhu had shared a very nice realization. I don't know if he's available to share right now. Are you available to share, Nirbhay? You shared a very nice realization last weekend. I don't know if you remember that everything is written very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. Why are people so confused? Where did this thread get lost? This link of the chain.
Yeah.
Can you mention? I don't think everybody was there. Can you share that realization again?
So I think I was just mentioning that in Bhagavad Gita, it is very clearly written in this chapter. We see how it is nicely written that the two-handed form is the supreme, and from that comes the Narayan and the who rules the different planets, and from Narayan comes the other avatars and manifestations. The detail is more given in Bhagavatam, but what I was just mentioning is in this chapter, direct translation, it is given how the two-handed form, from the two-handed form comes the four-handed form of Narayan. But our conception, for some reason, in India, growing up in India, has always been that the Narayan is supreme, and from Narayan comes the other form. So what I was saying is it's just surprising that it's so clearly written in Bhagavad Gita that from the two-handed form, the four-handed form is coming, and so on. And still, the usual conception, somewhere it got confused, and it is a revelation to people when they come initially to ISKCON, and it's like something they say, like it almost feels like it is something ISKCON is saying, or in ISKCON people say this. That's why usually when they ask a question, the question also is, in ISKCON, people are saying that, Krishna is the Supreme Personality, whereas we know that Narayan is the Supreme Personality, and there's a Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and all that. So, maintainer, creator, creator, maintainer, destroyer. Then how can we say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality? So, but it's very clearly explained here by Krishna himself that the Narayan comes from Krishna. So that's the only thing I was saying. Hare Krishna.
Okay. And then, yes, thank you so much, Nirbhay Prabhu. And then in the purport also, Prabhupada, we read this a little bit last time. Prabhupada says that it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person who misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna is actually shown his universal form and his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. And the original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. So here Prabhupada is chastising any other commentaries in which Krishna is not shown to be the supreme. Work is supreme. Work is worship. That is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Work is worship. So that is the most common message given by people when I ask them, oh, have you read Bhagavad Gita? No, what is the need to read Bhagavad Gita? Karma karna hota hai, we know we have to, karma is supreme. But in every verse, Krishna keeps saying that he is the supreme. Nobody is greater than me. That I am the Adi, I am the Ant, I am the Madhya, I am the Mata, I am the Pita, I am the Guru, I am the Jagat Nivas, I am the Jagat refuge. So Bhagavad Gita is establishing his supremacy, and then Krishna keeps saying, "Come back to me," right? And almost every other verse he keeps saying, "Come back to me." Like in that Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakta, right? Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakto Mad Yajimam Namaskuru Mame Vashyasi. You will get me. Mame Vashyasi Yuktveva Atmana Mad Parayana. Then he says in the another Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakto, he says, become my devotee, focus on me, right? Man Mana Mad Bhakto Mad Yaji, worship me, pay me obeisances, then you will come to me. Mame Vashyati Asamshayam, right? So he keeps saying that. And then he says, Na tad bhasyate suryo na shashanka na pavaka yad gatvana nivardante tad dhama parma mama. He's enticing you, come to my planet. After coming to that planet, you will never come back. This planet is, he says, dukkhalam. He says, माम उपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम शाश्वतम नाप्नुवन्ति महात्माना संसिद्धिं परमं गता. माम उपेत्य पुनर्जन्म, that after coming back to me, punarjanam will not happen. And this place, this is dukkhalayam shashvatam. So he keeps saying this. That is the import of Bhagavad Gita that we never got from any other commentaries, is what Prabhupada is saying, right? That Krishna is supreme and that we have to go back to Krishna. Because he keeps saying in every other shloka, come back to me. He says, A Brahma Bhuvnan Loka Punaravartino Arjuna, that wherever you go, you will come back to this planet. Punaravartino Arjuna. But Maam Upete tu Konteya Punarjanmana, what? Punarjanmana Vidyate. That after coming to me, Punarjanma will not happen. So he keeps saying that over and over again. He's enticing you to go back to his planet, right? So many verses. So almost every chapter there are so many verses. There are almost every other verse. Even 4.9, Janam Karam Cha Me Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvata Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naeti Mameti Swarjuna. That he will achieve me, Arjuna. And then you will see in the last verse of this chapter also he'll say the same thing, that you will come back to me. So every chapter he concludes by saying that if you do this, you will come back to me. So that is the import of the Bhagavad Gita. It is as clear as sun, like Prabhupada says. The original verses are as clear as sun. It is as clear that we are the spirit soul, that we are part and parcel of Krishna, that we are not the lords of this material nature, that this material nature is full of miseries, that we have to go back to Godhead. That is our original position where we come from. Right? So it is like Nirbhay Prabhu said, it is not something manufactured by ISKCON. It is just that they have given the right knowledge, which other people are not ready to admit, because nobody wants to give up their lordship of this universe. They want to be the lords, right? Whereas we are saying be the servants. So if ISKCON is saying, if somebody tells you be the servant, people are not ready to accept that. So that is why, that is the conflict. But Prabhupada also says that a pure devotee is not confused by those misguiding commentaries. So if we understand the import, the sense of what Krishna is saying, let's not be misguided, right? Any questions, any reflections on this? Okay, we'll keep going. 11.52. So now Krishna is speaking. Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Bhagavan
Sudurdasham idam rupam
Sudurdasham idam
Idam
rupam
Rupam
Drishtavanasi Yanmama
Drishtvanasi yanmama
Mama
Devapyasya Rupasya
Devapyasya rupasya
Nityam Darshana Kankshina.
Nityam darshana
Darshan
kamshina.
Okay, please read this. Yes, Avni.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. Haribol.
Very bold. Okay. So here Krishna is saying that it is very difficult to see this form, idam rupam. Which form? He's not talking about universal form or Narayan form. He's talking about this form, the one which I am in right now. And even the devas, even the demigods want to see this form of mine, this roop of mine. Nityam darshana kankshana. Kankshana means to desire, to aspire. You say, right? Don't have any desires, na kankshati, somebody who doesn't desire. But the devas also desire to see this form of mine, to have darshan of this roop of mine eternally. That this form that I'm showing you right now, idam rupam. So in the purport, Prabhupada, this is a longer purport, but let's read some areas of this. Let's read from, can somebody read from here? Maybe you can even read till the end.
I can read it, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Haribol. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see. That has already been explained. Still beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at the time visible to them. They waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all the nonsensical postures. Krishna in his two-arm form is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Haribol.
So Prabhupada is clarifying one of the previous verses, and actually the next verse also Krishna will talk about how you cannot see this form of mind with just penances or like austerities, right? With tapa, with Vedic studies, meaning gyan, with charities like dan, or with philosophical speculation, or even with sacrifices like yagyas, right? So all these dan, punya, yagya, tapa, jnana, all these things are not enough to see me without a tinge of bhakti. So if you add bhakti into these activities, then you can see me. So he's saying this two-hand form is very difficult to see even for demigods, right? Krishna himself said that Deva api asya rupasya nityam darshana kankshana. They also want to see this form eternally. So and he's saying this word is very important here, sudurdarsham, meaning that it is very difficult to see this. It is very rare, right? I mean, Dwapar Yuga was so long, and Krishna just came there for a few years, right? Does anyone know what is the length of Dwapar Yuga? Do you remember? Anyone remembers the length of Kali Yuga? You can calculate from that. So it is 4,32,000, right? In Dwapar Yuga is double that, right? So 8,64,000. And imagine Krishna just came for a few years. How many years did he stay in this pastime? I didn't hear that. Is Vedai saying something?
Was it 84, Mataji?
More than that, Madhuri. 125 years. So he stayed for a long time, for our calculation. But if you think of the Dwapar Yuga, or actually the whole Chatur Yuga, right? If you add all of those, Krishna just came once, and he actually comes only once in a day of Lord Brahma, right? So he doesn't even come in all the Chatur Yugas, right? Lord Krishna just comes in one of the in the afternoon of the, so imagine the day of Brahma. Imagine that this is our day, right? But Brahmaji's day is very long, right? It is composed of, I don't know if you remember this calculations, but it is composed of a lot of, I will not give numbers because it is very confusing. It is very long, right? In the afternoon of that day of Brahma comes Krishna, which is only one Chatur Yuga among thousands of Chatur Yugas that happen in the one day of Lord Brahma. So he comes only in that one Chatur Yuga. So we are just blessed that we are born in this particular Chatur Yuga when Krishna just came in the previous Dwapar Yuga. So we are just only 5,000 years away from him. And 5,000 years in all this calculation is actually nothing. That is why Bhagavad Gita, I mean, all this knowledge is still fresh. Even then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Goswamis and everybody had to come and refresh this knowledge even more. Krishna already came to refresh the dharma, to refresh the knowledge with Arjuna, right? He came to re-establish the religion. But the effect of Kali Yuga is so strong that things get destroyed very, very quickly. And so things got destroyed within 500 years of Kali Yuga, not within 500, but within, not within a few thousand years of Kali Yuga. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates had to come to re-establish it again, right? So that was his Krishna's Yuga avatar as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are lucky that we are just only 500 years away from most merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, right? So, I mean, if you think about our luck, it is, and like, for example, the effect of ISKCON is not going to last for very long. It is supposed to last only for 10,000 years, which is nothing. In the whole big picture of Kali Yuga, many, many thousands of years are left after that. And this will only last for 10,000 years. So imagine how much deterioration, degradation would happen. Even now, every day we see so much deterioration in the name of religion, right? You saw how people massacred that, vandalized that temple, right? So in the name of religion, like people are desecrating the holy books and the deities and whatnot. So much adharma in this Kali Yuga. Things get deteriorated, degenerated very, very fast. But we are lucky that Krishna came so close, only 5,000 years back. And so imagine that in all this time, only once he made that appearance in the two-handed form, and so many people were lucky to see him like that. That is why so many associates come down. When Krishna comes, so many associates come down to participate in those leelas because they want to be a part of that. This will be talked about eternally, right? These stories, these pastimes will be talked about forever. So those associates want to be part of it. Like Lord Yamraj, Dharmraj came as, who did he come as? Vidura, right? Okay. Sorry, Prabhuji, if you were answering. But so many people came, right? So many people came. Associates that are eternal associates of Krishna that want to participate in these leelas. So that is why Prabhupada is saying here that even demigods aspire to see this form, and it is very difficult to see it. Now we can see it in the form of deities, right? That is why our deities have that Saumya Vapur or the Manusham Rupam, the two-handed form of Krishna. All our deities are two-handed forms, right? That we can have loving exchanges with, right? You can offer bhoga, arti, sing songs, and pray and make requests and worship, whatnot. Towards the end in the purport, let's read a little bit more of this, just a few lines. Yeah, I can't find it in this, so I'm just going to read from my book here. Okay, so Prabhupada says, those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and consider him to be less important than the universal form of Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna is more important than his personal form. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a person, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita. And then a little bit further down, he says, Krishna is covered by his Yog Maya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. So Krishna does not reveal himself, his two-handed form, to everybody. He is covered by his Yog Maya potency, right? So he only reveals himself to a surrendered soul. And he will give the transcendental process, Prabhupada is saying, is described in Bhagavad Gita, how one can see him, how one can get Krishna to reveal himself. Such a revelation is possible only by that knowledge, right? Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. So the conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyam Sundar. So, Sudurdarsham, Krishna says, it is very difficult to see this form of mine, and only a surrendered soul can be given this knowledge. So he will tell us in next few shlokas how one can see him. Let's read those. 11.53 Naham Vedir na tapsa
Naham Vedir na tapsa
Nadane na chejaya Shakya evam vidho drashtum Drishtavanasi mam yatha Okay, someone like to read?
I can read.
Yes, ma'am.
The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood by simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Haribol.
Very bold. Mataji, want to share anything?
Shri Krishna is just reinforcing the same thing that he previously said, that that this form is like very durlabh, and even the demigods are aspiring. And what he's trying to say is that that this form of mine cannot be understood by just studying the Vedas, or by charity or tapas, or by worship. Basically, I think he's trying to reinforce that one has to get into devotional service. But when worship is there, what is that worship understood? Is it mean by karmakandi worship, or?
Yes, Mataji. Like when you go to temple to offer worship for other intentions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. So yeah, we've already discussed this. Actually, this and 48th verse were very similar, right? Krishna almost said the same thing in both of these. Let me just pull that up very quickly. He said, we read this last time. No one before you have seen this form, but neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. So the only difference is he's talking here about the universal form, and now in the verse 53 he's talking about this current form, the two-handed form. So he's saying, so basically saying that with those processes you cannot even see my this Vishwarup, this material temporary form, but to talk about the 400 form and forget completely about the 200 form, right? The 200 form is the highest. So you cannot even see the universal form of mind, and you cannot see this 200 form. Drishtvan asi mam yatha. Like you are seeing me right now, I cannot be seen just by studying the Vedas or by all these other processes, right? So the same thing we talked about. Somebody could be very much learned in Vedas, right? They may have all the grammar right, Sanskrit right. They may even, some people know the full Bhagavad Gita. They can recite full 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, but still don't perform any service to the Lord or to the devotees or anything, right? So still may not even believe in Krishna, but this is just for show. Just for show they can recite, or they can say so many verses and so many other knowledge of various granthas and Puranas, but so that doesn't mean anything, right? Like that South Indian Brahmin said, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was crying reading Bhagavad Gita. You remember that pastime? South Indian Brahmin who was reading Bhagavad Gita and crying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, why are you crying? So he said, विप्र कहे मूर्ख आमी शब्दार्थ ना जानी शुद्ध अशुद्ध गीता पढ़ी guru agya mani. That vipra means brahmans. Now vipra are not same as brahmans. I'm just loosely calling them brahmans. Vipra are basically people that are very learned in the knowledge, Vedic knowledge. But they are not. They may not be brahminical. They may not have them. Maybe it may not be in the mode of goodness or all those brahminical qualities that Bhagavad Gita tells us later on. So those are Vipra. So he says, Vipra kahe murkhami. They call me murkh or foolish. Why? Because Shabdarth na jani. Because I read Gita Shuddha Shuddh. Because I read it not properly. I don't know the grammar properly, so I pronounce it or read it inaccurately, right? So they make fun of me. But I'm just following my Guru's order. My Guru told me to read Bhagavad Gita. He said, Shuddha Shuddh Gita Padi, Guru Agya Mani. So he said, okay, but why are you crying? Is that why you're crying because they make fun of you? He said, no, that's not why I'm crying. I'm just crying because I look at this picture of Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna and taking such menial position as a servant, the Lord of this world. He says that I am Aham Sarvasya Prabhuvo, that all the energies, all the opulences, all the abilities, attributes come from me, and this person is driving the chariot, doing such a menial service for his servant Arjuna. So that makes me cry that the Jagat Guru, the refuge, the shelter of the world, the Jagannath is driving the chariot of his own servant. So that makes me cry that how merciful he is. He can take such a small position for his devotee. So that is why I'm crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, then you got the import of everything, even though you may not be able to read this Bhagavad Gita correctly. You may be reading it inaccurately, but you know the essence of the knowledge more than those brahmanas, those vipras, right? So simply by studying the Vedas, one may not be able to. And as for penances, right? Penances even Hiranyakashipu did, even Ravan did so many austerities. Like we cannot do that kind of austerities. Hiranyakashipu was standing on one leg for thousands of years. We cannot even stand for like 10 minutes. So it doesn't mean that somebody does so many austerities or penances that they are very advanced, right? But they were so inimical, so adverse towards Lord Vishnu, both Hiranyakashipu and Ravan. But they had the capability to perform serious penances. So serious penances doesn't mean anything. Charity, if you think of Karna, right? Danveer Karna, he's famous for being Danveer. So he could even cut out his kundal and his kavach and give it to Lord Indra, right? He was so charitable. But he still stood on the side of adharma to fight, right? Even though Krishna came to tell him that you fight for me. And as for worship, like Mataji said, there are so many intentions why people go to worship, right? Fear being one of the motivation to do something, that, oh, something bad will happen to me. I might as well pray because otherwise something bad will happen to me. Or out of duty, people go that, okay, so Krishna has given us so much, we should at least go to temple once a week or offer a coconut or something. Or some people go out of fulfilling their desires, right? So I want this or I want that, murade puri karni, right? And then people go out of love. So so many reasons to do the worship, but it may not be out of love all the time. So all those things are not very high, are not considered high in the eyes of Krishna, right? He said, with those things you cannot see me, you cannot understand me. I will not reveal myself to you because of these things, right? Okay, let's read last two because these are important and we should recite them a few times. 11.54 Bhaktya tvananyashakya
Bhaktya tvananyashakya
aham evam vidu Arjuna
aham evam vido Arjuna
Gyantum drashtum cha tatvena
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena
praveshtum cha parantapa.
praveshtum cha parantapa.
Okay, would someone else like to recite? Please take turns to recite.
Bhaktya tvamananyashakya aham evam vido Arjuna Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa.
Bhaktya tvanyaya shakya
Bhaktya tvananyashakya
aham evam vido Arjuna
aham evam Arjuna
Jnatum drashtum cha tatvena
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena
praveshtum cha parantapa.
praveshtum cha parantapa.
Mataji, you want me to read it?
Yes, Madhu.
Hari Bol. Bhaktya ananya sakhya aham evam. Oh,
Bhaktya nanyashakya
eham evam vidho Arjuna. Gyanatum drashtum cha tatvena.
Gyatum drashtum tatvena
Praveshtum cha parantapa.
praveshtum cha parantapa.
Anybody else wants to recite?
Bhaktya tva ananya shakya
Bhaktya tvananyashakya
aham evam vidyo Arjuna
aham evam vido Arjuna
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena
praveshtum cha parantapa.
praveshtum cha parantapa.
Okay. Anyone memorized it? Wants to memorize it? Are you guys still memorizing the prayers of Queen Kunti? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Pooja Mataji, did you want to recite?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, please.
Bhaktya ananyasakya
Bhaktya tvananyashakya
aham evam vidho Arjuna
aham evam vido Arjuna
Gyantum drashtum cha tatvena
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena
praveshtam cha parantapa.
praveshtum cha parantapa.
Okay, very good. So, let me just break this down before we read the translation. Bhaktya meaning by devotional service or by bhakti, right? So, ananya shakya. Shakya means possible. Ananya means pure, like exclusive or not mixed with anything else, like unalloyed devotional service or pure. Aham evam vido Arjuna. That, oh Arjun, I can be understood. Vido meaning understood. I can be understood. Gyantum, you can know me or Prabhupada is translating. Yeah, know me. Drashtum, you can see me. Tatvena, Tatvena, wherever Prabhupada, wherever Krishna says Tatvena, meaning as I am, or in fact, like as such. Praveshtum, you can enter into my mysteries. Parantapa, O subduer of the enemy, O Arjuna. That O Arjuna, by bhakti alone, and what kind of bhakti? Pure bhakti, ananya bhakti, by unalloyed pure devotion, exclusive devotional service, you can know me, you can see me, and you can enter into my, you can understand my mysteries, right? So now let's read this. Can someone read the translation?
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Hari Bol.
So here the word ananya is very important, right? Ananya means undivided or pure, not mixed with anything, like not mishrit bhakti, but pure, unalloyed bhakti. By that you can understand me. Any kids remember any other shlokas where ananya word is used? Yes. Whether he's saying something.
Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paripashate Tisham Nitya Yuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham.
Right, very good. Yes, Ananyas Chintyantamam, with exclusive devotion, who worships me, right? I carry what you lack and preserve what you have. What else? Any other verses come to mind? Ananya Bhakti, Ananya Natha, or uninterrupted, unalloyed, Ahetukiya Pratihata Bhakti. Anybody remembers any other verse? So in 9th chapter, there is another one, right? Krishna says, Apichet suduracharo bhajte mam ananya bhak sadhureva sa mantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. He says that who worships me with unalloyed, exclusive devotion, bhajte mam ananya bhak, right? Those people should be considered sadhu. Those people should be considered devotees, right? Similarly, in Bhagavatam, actually, many verses comes where Krishna says, talks about this unalloyed, pure, undivided devotional service, not Mishrit Bhakti, right? And then he's saying that with that Ananya Bhakti, you will get the power to see me, to know me, and to enter into my mysteries, right? So imagine that if you have something which is pure, right? For example, or let's say if you are eating kheer, right? But if somebody puts sand in it, will that kheer taste good? No, right? Similarly, Mishrit Bhakti is like that. So what we are practicing right now is actually Mishrit Bhakti, right? We are not at the level of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service, the characteristic is that it is unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahetuki apratihata. So uninterrupted meaning that no matter what, if difficult times come, good times come, anything happens, the devotee does not give up the Ananya Bhakti, the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Whereas with us, what happens is if it is difficult times, we say, oh, Krishna, why is Krishna doing this to me? We start blaming God, right? So that is our bhakti gets interrupted when we have tough times, when we have problems, or when we are or we get distracted by various material attachments, various material desires that we need to fulfill, right? With those things, we get distracted with our work. Basically, Krishna does not take priority. So things get interrupted, bhakti gets interrupted. So for many reasons, bhakti can get interrupted. But for pure devotees, when they are Shuddh Bhakt, right? Their chanting is pure, they chant Shuddh Naam, and their bhakti is uninterrupted. No matter what may happen, they prioritize Krishna, right? And secondly, it is unmotivated. Like we talked about various motivations in the previous verse, right? The motivation of fear, of duty, of desires. There are so many other motivations like that. Material motivations, like motivation to do bhakti could be to achieve fame or to get success in our material endeavors. That if I do bhakti of Krishna, I'll get material success. Things like that. So basically that is motivated, but for pure devotees it is unmotivated. Ahetuki apratihata. So in Bhagavatam it is said, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That the bhakti that is unmotivated and uninterrupted pleases the heart, that is the real dharma. Savai pumsa paro dharmo, that is the param dharma. So that is the best kind of dharma. That is not Ketav dharma. There is something called Ketav dharma, right? We've probably talked about this. Ketav dharma means something that is just for show. That, for example, karm kand, right? Rituals, where things are done out of desires or out of fear or out of duty or out of various other motivations. So that is Ketav dharma, right? Whereas this is Bhagavad dharma. This is param dharma. This is Ananya Bhakti. So that is what gives the power for somebody to see Krishna, to understand Krishna, and he says then to realize, to understand my mysteries, right? His mysteries are like his pastimes are mysterious to us. His energies, his opulences are mysterious to us. His plans, we don't understand why he does some things, right? His plans are mysterious to us. This creation, everything, why are we here? So many things, they're all mysterious to us. So all those mysteries you'll be able to understand once you have the Shuddh Bhakti, he says. So let's see what else. Anybody else wants to share anything? Is that clear? Right? So so then in the purport, Prabhupada is bringing up a very nice point. Prabhupada is saying that if one wants to see Krishna or understand him or understand his mysteries, then you say that we have to do pure bhakti, right? Now, if you have to see something, you have to get, even in this material world, you have to get training to see or understand something, right? For example, I'll give you an example from my context. If I showed you, let's say Sheetal Mataji, I showed you a CAT scan of somebody's head, would you be able to read it? Do you think one of the physicians, let's say Dr. Godadra, would be able to read it?
Yes, he has the training.
Because he has the training, right? He has the training to see it. He'll look at the picture and everything will be very clear to him. This is the brain, this is this ventricle, this is that, right? He can see everything, right? Why? Because he has the training. So similarly, if we want to see the Supreme Lord, Krishna says, Gyantum drashtum cha tatvena, that you want to see me as such, right? So then we also need training, right? So that is why Prabhupada keeps bringing up the point of why we should not read other commentaries, because in this commentary, Prabhupada is giving us the training. Prabhupada is giving us the training how to see Krishna. That is why it is always said you have to hear before you can even see. Like you go to take darshan, people go to take darshan in the temple, but it is very difficult to appreciate the darshan of the deity unless you have heard about him. When you've heard so much about him, you understand, oh, this is the Supreme Lord. We read about him. He has all the opulences. He is the source of all char, achar and everything. From him comes all these expansions, all these Narayan forms, Vishnu Murtis, all these expansions, everything come from him. This is what we're taking darshan of. Then you can take the darshan of the lotus feet, right? So it is very, so you have to hear the darshan before you can see the darshan. So before seeing, you have to hear it so that you will have some faith, right? And the hearing should be, from somebody like Prabhupada or from his devotees who themselves have pure devotional service, who are themselves Ananya Bhakt, right? They have Ananya Bhakti like Prabhupada or so many other devotees, pure devotees of his that are practicing Ananya Bhakti, right? So then you get training from them and you can appreciate the darshan. That is why Shravanam is the first step. So even before seeing, you have to hear. Is that okay? Is that understandable?
Mataji, question, just
Yes.
general commentaries on Bhagavad Gita other than Prabhupada, but are like all the commentaries on impersonal Brahman only, or that we know of?
Mataji, I have not explored so many Bhagavad Gitas. I know that 2 or 3 that are famous are on impersonal Brahman. which do not talk about Krishna being the supreme personality or that we have to go back to Godhead. Mostly liberation is the supreme goal, not Ananya Bhakti, not the pure love of Godhead. And then we have to remember that we don't have that much time in our life to explore different things, right? We have seen that this gives us Krishna. This particular commentary on Bhagavad Gita gives us Krishna, and Krishna himself says that the knowledge should come in disciplic succession. It's like when we go to school, right? Somebody can read textbooks, like we can read textbooks and get the same knowledge, let's say, but that knowledge will not be authorized unless it is affiliated with certain board, right? If it is CBSE or what is that,
ICSC.
ICSC board, right? If it is affiliated with that board, only then the knowledge will be qualified and will get a degree. So we don't have that much time in our life that we should just waste exploring different things when they're not affiliated to a proper institution. So if we know that this knowledge is coming in line from Krishna directly in the disciplic succession, and these devotees, we can see that they have no motive other than to just give us the devotional service, right? We are not giving them tons of money to give us this knowledge, right? Really, so we see that this is helpful. We can apply this in our life. The process is simple. We have applied this in our life, and we can see changes happening, right? So that alone is a proof, proof of the pudding lies in eating it. So we're eating it and seeing that it is tasty. So let's keep on eating it. Why try different puddings? Because we have to advance. So we want to do Bhagavad Gita, and then we want to read the next thing and the next thing, not keep exploring 10 different Bhagavad Gitas. And so, but listening to other devotees, like let's say Amoglila Prabhu, he says that he has read different types of Bhagavad Gita. Nobody really talks about Krishna. Krishna is just completely cut out, and they just talk about the value of Gyan, Karma, Dhyan, or Moksha, all this various other processes, which are very difficult also to perform in this Kali Yuga. That is how I understand, Mataji. And please, anybody else has any thoughts, share?
On this one, what you said, like, how can be a Bhagavad Gita without Krishna, without talking about Krishna? I don't get that.
I don't get that either, Mataji. I don't get that either. But there are many. So it is for us. We are reading this, so we understand Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then you go and talk to somebody, they say, "What? Why are you always talking about Krishna?" No. Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or no, we worship Durga Mata. So Durga Mata. No, we worship Lord Ganesha, right? So it's basically. If you start your process from the correct knowledge, then you don't understand why anybody else would not know this, right? Like that is why it is supposed to be started in the childhood, when we do not get any other contamination from anybody else. But similarly, it is difficult for us to understand how Krishna can be taken out of Bhagavad Gita when he's speaking it, he's establishing it that he is the supreme. But that was the critique that Prabhupada used to get in your Bhagavad Gita. You keep saying Krishna, Krishna, like in every line you say Krishna. Why are you talking about Krishna all the time? Because that is what Bhagavad Gita is for, to talk about Krishna. This is the way to do Harikatha. This is the way to get his teachings, his instructions. But Mataji, I don't know what other Bhagavad Gitas talk about. If somebody else has read them, you can share. If Ravi Prabhu, have you read any other?
No, Mataji, I have read the Gita Press Gita, but they don't have anything against Krishna or saying not glorifying Krishna. It's basically the translation and whatever is written, the fact. There's no misleading in that, to my understanding from Gita Press. So, I mean, the Gita Press Gita, I think older than ISKCON Gita. But I have not found anything that is going against what you understand from Prabhupada's Gita.
Okay. I've not read that one. I used to have Mahatma Gandhi's Bhagavad Gita, but it is their knowledge is very generic, very generic knowledge. It is not that anybody has anything against Krishna, but those Gitas do not give you Krishna. They do not bring Krishna in your life. Like you're still kind of bewildered what is going on, and Prabhupada speaks very clearly. That is my understanding. But like Mahatma Gandhi's and the others, I felt like was very generic understanding, which people put down after reading one or two chapters. Okay, what is going on? I don't even understand. Um, that was my feeling with that. Yes, Mata, you're sharing something?
No, I was going to ask Nana Prabhu. Maybe he
Yes.
has read some in Marathi, or if he has any understanding other than Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita.
Prabhu, Nana Prabhu, please
Nana
share.
Prabhu, कुछ you want to share? तुम्ही काय प्रवचन ऐकलंय का याच्यात बैठकीत किंवा in anything else?
Madam, see, whatever Bhagavad Gita has been said, it is all translated in Marathi by Sant Gyaneshwar. Whatever Gita Gyan, it is a Sant Gyaneshwar has translated into Prakrit Marathi. That is very difficult to understand that Marathi even. Then the Das Bodha. Das Bodha is also the pravachan on the Bhagavad Gita by Samartha Ramdas. So he traveled throughout the India, and then he understood the Bhagavad Gita. Then he translated it to Marathi as a Das Bodh. It is the same thing, whatever they said, but it is very difficult to understand Bhagwan Sri Krishna. That is the comment I'll say. It's very difficult to understand him. In which form you take him. So some people say the Sri Krishna, some people say it is a Narayana, Chaturbhuja, is a Padmanabha in south. In many forms is known to the people.
So do these commentaries talk on like Jnaneshwari or Ramdas, Samartha Ramdas, do they talk on Krishna or do they speak about like the Brahman?
No, they talk about Bhagavad Gita essence of the Bhagavad Gita, basically.
So even like Krishna as a like the form.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, so that's my understanding also. Not only they're difficult to understand, they're just muddling you. You don't understand. Nobody became devotee. Let's say you read so many other Bhagavad Gitas, but you never became devotee until you read Prabhupada's. So Prabhupada really puts things as it is. That is why it is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. Krishna is saying, become my devotee. Prabhupada is translating it as it is and reinforcing that in his purports. Nobody else says, become devotee of Krishna. Because they don't want to go against the routine sentiments of people about other demigod worship and all this, right? So people are just muddling things, confusing, making up bharta. But Prabhupada made it very clear that become a devotee of the Lord or there is no other way. So that is my take on this, Mataji. That answers. I think Namita Mataji asked that. Okay, let's see what we were discussing. Any other questions or comments?
Just retrospectively, I was thinking like in the disciplic session, the Bhagavad Gita was passed from say Krishna to Arjun. Did Arjun pass it to anybody? Because our disciplic succession gives a different chart, right? In the
Yes, Mataji. So Mataji, Arjun is a Kshatriya. It's not his duty to, that's not his prescribed duty. That is not his job to transfer the knowledge. So when Krishna is saying this to Arjuna, it is being recorded by Ved Vyas. So Ved Vyas is passing this knowledge on, right? So you want to look at the disciplic succession?
Mataji. तभी मैंने सोचा कि जब ये अर्जुन को मिला अर्जुन अपना काम करते रहे एज ए क्षत्रिय.
Yes. Yes, Mataji. So the knowledge is given by given further through Ved Vyas. Basically, that is why Ved Vyas compiled all the Shastras, including Mahabharata, which includes Bhagavad Gita. So giving it to Arjun is just like a microphone that he's speaking into, right? But then it is being written down on paper for the generations to come by Ved Vyas. So Arjun is just a instrument to give this knowledge to, and then it is compiled by Ved Vyas. So Ved Vyas comes in the successive disciplic succession, not Arjuna. Okay. Is that clear, Madhya? Any question?
समझ रहा हूँ मतलब, लेकिन तो फिर हम लोग जैसे प्रयास करते हैं कि we spread the word of God, then is it our job also to do that?
जैसे
तो
कि
ऐसे भक्त को बोलते हैं कि भगवान को प्रिय होते हैं जो उनका नाम आगे करते हैं.
right.
So
Question
how should we understand that, Mataji? मतलब जैसे अर्जुन को हम जस्टिफाई करें कि वो क्षत्रिय है तो वो अपना काम करे और वो नॉलेज जैसे पास ना करे या नहीं किया उन्होंने.
Yes, okay, I got it. I think I got it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that why did he not compile it? He's not the
compile it. Like there is no what do you say? At least I don't know anything, but जहाँ तक सुना है ऐसे कहीं पे पढ़ने में नहीं आया कि ध्यान में नहीं आया कि उन्होंने भी ये नॉलेज को आगे किसी के साथ जैसे बांटा हो, शेयर किया हो.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Like when he was the chosen one, he got the knowledge.
Okay, I got it. So yeah, you were saying at that time, like why was preaching not done, or why was the knowledge not being spread further, or something like that, right?
From Arjun.
So yes, Mataji, actually at that time there was, proper system, the Varnashram Dharma system still in place. It was still intact, right? So like Parikshit Maharaj was their descendant, and he was well versed in Bhagavad Dharma, right? That is why he's one of the great devotees of the Lord who was chosen by Krishna to hear the message of Bhagavatam next, right? Because he was so well versed in Bhagavad Gita. He was the one who was given the darshan of Krishna himself. So that at that time people used to carry out their prescribed duties according to the Varnashram Dharma very nicely. So so Parikshit Maharaj got the due education and all the sanskaras, and then that is why he had the imagine that he is the only line, he's the only link after Pandavas, he's the only link that is connecting to Kali Yuga, right? Parikshit Maharaj is what is connecting to Kali Yuga, where Srimad Bhagavatam was like the sun that rose just before the darkness of Kali Yuga was about to start, right? And who was instrumental? It was Parikshit Maharaj. And why did it happen? Because Parikshit Maharaj had the correct knowledge, not like Duryodhan. He had correct knowledge that at the last few days of my life, I have to hear the Bhagavad Dharma from a learned person like Shukdev Goswami, right? So he's learning it from Shukdev Goswami. He had the thought process that I have to get a guru, I have to get this knowledge and have to give it further. So then this way the knowledge came from Shukdev Goswami and then went down in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam through Ved Vyas again. So Ved Vyas was compiling all the literature, but they are spreading, they are giving it to their next generation. Like they're not, the Kunti Maharani raised such kids that were upholders of Dharma, right? That is why Pandavas are celebrated as great devotees of the Lord. Similarly, Queen Kunti's prayers we are singing till day, right? So they are all spreading in by giving it to their next generation. And at that time, it was not like Kali Yuga where nobody has any knowledge. Right now, you have to, even before saying Bhagavad Gita, you have to give a prelim knowledge of that we are spirit, soul. You have to prepare a person to understand that, there is a next birth. Right now, everybody believes that Zindagi na milegi dobara. Actually, the problem is Zindagi will be milengi dobara. You will get Zindagi again. So we have to try to stop the cycle of birth and death. It's so much contamination if you think about it, right? We are made to think that you have to get all the power, you should become Lord of the world, right? Whereas Bhagavad Dharma teaches us to become servant of the Lord. we are taught that this is just one life, live it fully king size, and then you will never come back. But no, no, that's such a big mistake, right? So even to hear Bhagavad Gita, we have to prepare everyone to hear this knowledge. So that is why this Krishna consciousness, this mission of Prabhupada is so great, because it is a preaching mission, because everybody is a fallen soul, everybody is Shudra in Kali Yuga, right? Nobody is following the Varnashram Dharma. Everybody is a Shudra. There are no real Brahmanas left. So nobody is doing the work of Ved Vyas or Shukdev Goswami. So we have to, either Shudras have to take upon themselves to spread the whatever little knowledge we have, to spread the message of Krishna. So we are just, what we do is we just train people that, okay, just listen to Bhagavad Gita, or you are part and parcel of Krishna, your spirit soul. We have a next destination after this life. That next destination will be decided by this life's karma. So let's do better things in life than just enjoy and party and all that. So we are just urging people to take to the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, to take a guru who will, we are not saying you take knowledge from us, you take knowledge from your guru who will be a pure devotee of the Lord, right? So in this way, at that time, however, things were not that bad. Kali Yuga had not yet started, and people were still carrying on their Varnashram Dharma, and they're spreading the Bhagavad Dharma.
Different times, different things.
Right. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission was that of preaching. That's why he said that Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh, Mara agya guru hana tara edesh. In whatever time, situation, circumstances you are, do Krishna upadesh, and it is my guru's agya, it is my guru's order, tara edesh, that deliver this country. So that is what Prabhupada did. That is why Prabhupada is called the Senapati Bhakta of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he came and delivered not only this country but the whole world. So he said, so that is why it is a preaching mission, right? Prabhu Ragyai Bhai Karo Bika Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna Koro Krishna Shiksha. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. Okay, I think we cannot complete the last verse. We'll save it for next time. Please read on your own if possible, and we can try to do the Kahoot also next time. But the next verse is very, very important. If I'll just give you a preview into it, so that when you read, you will understand what we are reading. The next verse is basically the principles of Krishna consciousness that we've been taught to follow. I'll just share with you very quick. Mat karma krin mat parmo. So this is one thing. There are 5 things mentioned. Please look carefully. First thing is mat karma krin, mat karma krit. This is called mat karma krit principle. Okay, do work for me. Mat parmo, consider me supreme. Okay, mat parmo meaning think of me as supreme. Mad Bhakta, become my devotee. Number 3. Number 4, Sangha Varjita, that avoid those things that are not good for your bhakti, right? Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu, do not be envious or inimical to other living beings, right? Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu. And whoever does these 5 things, Yasa Mameti Pandava. Remember, we were talking about all the shlokas where Krishna says Mameti, right? So here also Krishna says Mameti. This is also another process by which Krishna is saying Mameti. So Mat Karma Krit is one principle, do work for me, meaning a karma, right? This is called Krishna Karma, where you keep Krishna in the center, do all the work as a service to him. Mat Parmo, prioritize me, think of me as supreme, right? So that all the things related to Krishna are given priority. Mat Parmo. Mad Bhakta. And when you become my devotee, all these things will happen, right? Sangha Varjita. So these are three do's. Then there are 2 don'ts. Sangha Varjita, avoid anything, association of anything that will contaminate you, right? Any material contamination or any contamination that will distract you, avoid those. Sangha Varjita. And Nirvaira meaning without, be equal to all, equanimous to all. Nirvaira. So these 5 things one should practice, and then that person will achieve me. He certainly comes to me. We can discuss this in a little bit more detail next time, but I just wanted to show. So that is why this is also important to memorize. 5 principles. It is a formula of success in bhakti. 5 ingredients for this recipe that Krishna has given. And this is coming directly from Krishna, he's saying. Right? He's saying it himself. Is that okay? Anybody wants to share or add anything? Nirbhay Prabhu wanted to share anything?
Hi Krishna. I was just listening, and nice question and nice discussion today. Regarding Bhagavad Gita, yes, Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that I've heard a few. I've not read myself Bhagavad Gita, the other ones, and I've heard though, that I don't know if that's that from. I think it's from the Gita Press, that other Bhagavad Gita that we had at our place, and my mother used to recite it also, and I've heard it multiple times. I've heard it, but it didn't ever have an import on me. Maybe because it never read through the purports of it, and the only place really where I got any understanding of why and who God is, Supreme Personality being Krishna, is via devotees, so of ISKCON. So that is why I think this is such a important thing, and that is why our movement is a preaching movement, because we are trying to become devotees, and devotees are very compassionate, that we came in connection somehow somewhere with some devotee, and that is why we got this knowledge, and we are very thankful to them. And because we got this knowledge, we were lucky, we didn't deserve it. Our responsibility becomes that we further spread this knowledge. So that is why it's a preaching mission, so that we can spread this knowledge as much, so that other souls who may be similarly lost as we were can get this information, and can get closer to get Godhead, and even back to Godhead.
Okay, thank you, Nirbhay Prabhu. Yes. Mataji, just one more point came to my thoughts about Kali Yuga. Since everybody, like we said, is fallen in this age, we need a lot of association. So we want more and more people. That is why we try to teach everyone, preach everyone. So we can make a big family of devotees. Like right now, if in our Jackson there were more families of devotees, we would progress much more, right? So that is why we want to spread. And I mean, yes, we are everybody is compassionate, and we want to deliver everybody. That is the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But also the association. Without association, bhakti is not possible. So that is the word from Prabhupada coming down till now. Without association, what is that word? When you sit by alone, Ravi Prabhu would remember. Basically, sitting alone, that bhakti is not recommended.
Nirjan.
Nirjan bhakti is not recommended in this Kali Yuga, because our mind is very distracted. We are very uncontrolled senses, uncontrolled mind. So it will happen. We'll go the same route that Bharat Maharaj did, right? Even though he was so advanced, and we're not even that advanced. So association is very important. So Prabhupada wanted to make this a big, huge family.
The other thing is, with association and with preaching, it makes your own faith firm. When you tell somebody or you teach somebody, then it makes your own faith firm. So we are not really doing it. Actually, Prabhupada used to say that, it's not, you're not, I've heard other devotees also mention that you're not even doing it for others. Forget it. No, if you feel that you're actually doing it for others, that is still has some pride in it. Yeah, I'm doing it, but no, you are actually just passing on the message, and actually you're doing it for yourself. You're selfish. Remember, Ravi Prabhu, when we met that Prabhuji from Detroit, the surgeon, Prabhu, he said that you're not even for preaching, if you're having, let's say Bhakti Vriksha or whatever, if nobody comes, don't mind. Or, for preaching, it is said, if there's only nobody in the room, preach to the walls. Because when you
That is
preach,
Prabhupada's
your
saying.
your own faith becomes stronger, and you are the most benefited from preaching than anybody else. So we are doing it for ourselves.
Ashish Prabhu.
Ashish Prabhu, yes, Prabhuji.
All right, let's chant. We just have one more verse. We'll do it next time. It's a little bit long anyways. Okay. Okay. I just want to share one last thought I had about the Gitas we were discussing. So you don't know if you know this pastime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed with somebody called Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, okay? And from him he took instructions for 7 days. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was a very well-renowned Vedantist and like a philosopher all over the country. And students used to come from all over the country to take instructions from Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, right? He said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is Chaitanya after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas. He said, "I'll give you instructions," and he gave him instructions for 7 days. For 7 days, Mahaprabhu sat quietly listening to him, and he said, "Okay, what do you have to say? What do you understand?" Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya asked him Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Do you remember, Mataji, Sheetal Mataji? What did he say? You remember? We read it we discussed it in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya." Okay. He said, "You're telling everything, but I get the feeling as if the sun is being covered by the cloud." So he was basically an impersonalist, right, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. So he said, "Your knowledge is good, it's adequate, it's in line with the Vedas, but it's incomplete. It's there is a deficiency. It feels like as if you're hiding something." That is what the feeling comes from reading anybody else but Prabhupada, as if you're hiding something. You're trying to hide Krishna, like the sun is being covered by the clouds. Whereas with Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna and Krishna Bhakti comes out like a brightly fulgent sun. No covers, no clouds, nothing. So that is my analogy on it, and like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Everything is out in the open. He's stating things as it is, not without any without muddling up things, without covering up or clouding up things. Okay, is that any thoughts on that or not? We'll stop. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Prabhupada
Jai.
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 Samvit Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.